It's Typewriter Tuesday. Let's journey into the past to see what writers of old used to use to ply their trade. What kind of mechanical beauty does Al have for us this week?
Hi, this is Alton Gansky. Welcome to another Typewriter Tuesday. And today we're going to look at this wonderful little machine. It's an Underwood Universal. An Underwood Universal. They made this series for a very long time. This one is from 1946, so we're going back in time to 1946 when you could buy a house for $5,600. Your average wage was about $2,500, and you could get a gallon of gas for 15 cents. Yes, things have changed. 1946, it's a post-war typewriter, and one of the ways you can tell post-war typewriters, because they stopped making typewriters during the war years, many of those factories being used to make munitions and weapons. When they came back to making some of the typewriters, one of the changes they made is they began to go to plastic keys. Now you can see a lot of these Underwood Universals with the metal rimmed keys, look very much like the glass top keys of even further back, and the very pretty keys, very comfortable keys. But as the plastic industry had grown and it was easier to do these, they began making them in this type of plastic. They're fabulous little keys. You can see they kept the round form like the old keys from before the war years, and they keep them properly dished, which makes it very comfortable to type on. So they're concave, fingers rest nicely in them. It's a very approachable typewriter, very friendly. Now, as you look at it, you can tell it's kind of a no-nonsense machine. It's the kind of thing you expect to show up at your door with a toolbox and wearing work clothes, and person saying, all right, it's time to get busy now. Let's get our hands dirty. This is that kind of machine. It is a great little worker, very comfortable to use, a little loud because of this open area here, but that's not unusual. They did in many places, including all the way in the back here, put in sound absorbing felt, and it does a pretty good job with that. Of course, now 70 years later, doesn't do quite the job it used to do, but there are other ways to deal with those kinds of things, little tricks that you can use, such as using two pieces of paper or putting it on as one of these things here, which is just simply a little pad used for drying dishes. You just set your dishes there to drip dry. Well, I found it absorbs sound very well. Or you can go back and do a little searching. You can find a real typewriter pad, which is much thicker and absorbs a great deal of the sound. Now, it's especially important when you're dealing with older machines like this because the rubber on the platen gets very dry, very hard. It's like typing on marble. And that's why some people who use typewriters to do real-life writing, that says they're going to be spending a lot of time on the typewriter, will have these resurfaced. If you're not going to be using it that way, if you're using it more for the decor, more for just paying homage to the way we used to write, then you don't necessarily have to do that, but it does make for a much better typing experience. So 1946, Underwood Universal. Now, again, there are many others of these, and they go back quite a ways. Some variation in the way they look. Some of these would come out a little bit later as a Champion, be an Underwood Champion. So instead of Universal here, it says Champion, which is basically the same machine with the exception that it had a tab key here where you see this open space. And that made things a lot easier for typists who had to do a lot of typing. And you would set the tabs on this bar here by putting little pieces of metal in. They're little clamps. And you put them wherever you wanted them to be. This machine does not have them because, well, quite honestly, it doesn't have a tab, so it doesn't need it. But you can see the margin releases there to the left and to the right. Those are for setting of the margins. And also very easy to do, done with finger touch, and they just slide back and forth to wherever you want them to be, just simply by pushing it in a little bit, and it works along there. The Champion also, which is again basically this typewriter, and the mechanism with a few additions to it, also got a little classier. Now, this is a matte gray, and I think very lovely. Sort of, again, no get down to business, no foolishness kind of typewriter, though it does have a little bling on it. Sort of harking back to the time of Art Deco, but it's just a little bit of decoration that they have. But there's some of these that you can get that are very desirable, including a red one. It's like candy apple red. It is an amazing looking typewriter, and maybe someday one will make its way into my collection. But for now, I have this little beauty, which I bought for $85, and it is a great typing machine. Keys, again, as I mentioned, properly dished, evenly spaced, very easy to do. Straight American keyboard, as you'd expect from an Underwood, which is an American company. Made, as you can see in the back here, it tells you where it's made. It's made in the U.S. of A. Great little typewriter with everything that you need. Maybe not everything you want, but everything that you need. It's got a nice little paper table. The action is very good. I love the hook on the return arm, the carriage return arm. It's got a little hook, so when you put your hand into it, it catches it, doesn't slip off like they do on some of the portables, which had sacrificed usefulness for style. On some of the older ones, and another way you can recognize them is they have paper fingers towards the ends of the platens. These are very plain paper fingers that they have. A paper finger is meant to hold the paper next to the rubber roller, to the platen. And they're just very plain, just like little curved pieces of metal. On some typewriters, you'll see that they have rollers and the like. For this particular typewriter, no. But it does have a nice paper bail to hold the paper in. Returns nicely. One of the odd things, and we'll see if I can show this to you here, is down here to change the line setting from single space to space and a half to double space is a little lever, where sometimes you would have it up here where it's a little easier to reach. And this one is unmarked and it's below the left-hand knob, and you just simply move it to change the setting to whatever you'd like. So I believe that's the double, that's the 1.5, and that's the single there. Again, very easy to use, has all the releases that you need, has the bell, those sorts of things. Release to help you get the paper in if necessary, releases some of the rollers. One of the other little odd things about it is most typewriters come with the ability to take the ratcheting out, that is, so you can free roll the platen. For this one, instead of having a button that you depress on this side or a lever that you pull, this one has a nifty little trick. You just pull this knob out and then it rolls. No clicking, no little ratcheting. And then when you get it all lined up, as if you've been typing and have to reinsert the paper, you want to get the lines all lined up, you do that till you get just where you want, and you simply push it back in, and then we're back to the ratcheting as it was set before. Rather ingenious. Okay, some of the other little items with it. It was set to use the two-color ribbon. So this one, the blue's on the bottom instead of the top. Stencil, that's what the white means. So when you type with it, it's not going to hit the ribbon, and the red, which is usually on the bottom. And then the tension control, that is how hard you have to push on the keys, is right up front, which is definitely nice. And it goes from difficult, or high pressure to low pressure. And you can adjust it any way you want. It's just a quick tuning of that. This little button here releases the ribbon cover. Get that out of the way, and then you can see inside it. This one needs a little more cleaning, little more tuning, but it is a great little machine. Then it closes up. Very fond of Underwoods. I learned to type on an Underwood 5. You can see that video. It's one of the earlier ones that I did, so you can just check through YouTube or scroll back through my website and find some of the earlier ones, and you'll see the one that I'm talking about. Very large. You could hide a decent-sized dog behind it, but very, very good typer. When you look down on the inside where the scale is, a little difficult again now to see, but down here on the scale it says 80. That means it's 10 characters per inch. typing. So it's not the smallest type, it's the larger type, which I'm getting to prefer more and more, maybe because I'm getting older, I don't know. Some of the other things it doesn't have a paper guide to the side. Many of these did not. Nonetheless, it's still very easy to get your paper all lined up and ready to go. One of the other little advantages are the green keys, which I think are kind of special. These are specialty keys, the shift lock, which locks the shift into place. And then one of the ones which I think is kind of humorous, while other typewriters have a backspace key, this Underwood has a backspacer key. So it's a little different. And that was not unusual for typewriters to change just a word just a little bit to make it different, part of their competition. Or working against their competition, I should say. Over here on the side, you see a little lever. This adjusts the ribbon. If the ribbon is uneven like that, you simply turn and it tightens the ribbon up to the proper strength, tension right there. And then you can reverse the ribbon by either pushing this forward or pulling it back. So that's one position, and that's another position. And the way the ribbon spools will change when you do that. So that's not unusual to do, to get towards the end and you just switch that and start typing again, and it goes back over it. Well, thank you for joining me on Typewriter Tuesday and taking a gander at this fabulous little machine. One of my favorites for typing. Beautiful, simple, direct, to the point. It just gets the job done. And quite honestly, it's not hard on the eyes either. Not flashy, but nonetheless kind of stately and to the point. Well, again, this is Alton Gansky, altongansky.com. Be sure to visit my website if you get a chance. Give us a like, a thumbs up on the, if you're going to YouTube. Always helpful to know that people are watching and enjoying what they're seeing.